Welcome to the Hangry Games Arena, where Kelly Brewster, the author of What's Eating You and host of the Hangry Games, is shaking up the weight loss world. She's providing you with tons of resources and helpful tips to obtain your long-term wellness and weight loss goals once and for all. The Hangry Games is recorded and produced at Open Space Studios.
Hello, Hangry Game Nation. How are you guys doing? I pray, I do, that you've had a great week thus far, and that you've kind of worked through some of the takeaways from last week, and that you're continuing to make. It only takes these little, small, consistent, but sustainable changes. And over time, you are just not even going to believe the amazing progress that you've made. So I hope you're doing that. That's important, because if all you're doing is listening to this and you're really not implementing anything or applying anything, I mean, I'm great that I'm entertaining you, but I really want you to have something that you can sink your teeth into. And no, we're not sinking our teeth into a ding dong today. Okay, there we go. I said it, right? As always, I am super pumped to spend some time with you guys today. And just we're going to tackle a topic for many of us. Maybe all of us, we deal with at some point in our wellness and weight loss journey. And that is how to tame those larger portion sizes when we're trying to make this effort to implement positive changes into our game plan for weight loss. Now, what we need to realize, and you know me, I'm going to be all Medea about stuff, but what we need to realize is every restaurant, especially fast food joints, are going to encourage you to upsize your portion size, since it literally costs them very few pennies to do. You know what? Let me tell you something. It's not because they're trying to be generous. It's not. It's not because they're trying to, hey, it's just a few pennies more and you can get, you could double the portion sizes. Get it. No big deal. That's not what they're trying to do. Why is that? They're not trying to be more generous. What they're trying to do is get you to consume more. And when you consume more, you want more. And that is the problem. This trend is literally now spilling into the grocery stores, into food retailers that are supplying grocery stores, even vending machines. Let's face it, you can get a king size candy bar, you can get an upside soft drink, biggie sized at a fast food restaurant, and at this point, you can go to a restaurant, get a bottomless salad, which I'm not really opposed to that part, but then they want to give you them breadsticks on the side and just bring them on out, keep them coming, right? Who wants all that? No, we don't need that. We are eating ourselves, guys, into obesity, one large portion at a time. Now, research has shown that individuals served larger portions will actually eat more at that sitting. So today, you guessed it, we are going to talk about a few helpful tips to avoid that overindulgence of your serving sizes and how to beat them at their own game. You with me? Let's do this, right? Now, in an article written by the CDC, they covered a few of these suggestions on how to control portion sizes. We're going to discuss some of those. And then I've got some additional recommendations that I'm going to give you as well, just to be persistent in your success. I'm not going to go like number 1, number 2, and all that kind of stuff. We're just going to talk today. I'm just going to throw them out there, and they're just going to be nuggets along the way, okay? And not chicken nuggets, all right? All right, good. You remember back in the day, and I think about this and immediately what comes to mind, and I think I've told you guys this before in a previous podcast, but back in the day, we always discouraged our kids from eating a snack before dinner. Why? Well, we were like, we didn't want them to spoil their dinner, right? We wanted them to eat all of their dinner, right? But I can remember, I had that raging metabolism when I was, a teenager. I was an athlete, so I was burning stuff I didn't even have, quite honestly. I looked, my legs looked like 2 toothpicks with grapefruits for knees. I mean, I really was super thin. But I could my mom at one point thought I had a tapeworm, because I could seriously eat somebody under the table. And I could eat a box of Hostess cupcakes. Yes, ma'am. The entire box of Hostess cupcakes before dinner and I could still finish my plate. The only plate I never finished was butter beans. I can't stand butter beans. Other than that, it was on like Donkey Kong. I could eat it, let me tell you. But we would always tell our kids to do this. We were like, don't spoil your dinner. Don't eat anything. Just wait until dinner. It's only going to be a few more minutes, right? Well, what I'm going to advise you is the complete opposite. What I often tell my patients, especially before a special occasion, like maybe a shower or wedding or, like a holiday get together or what have you, is I want you to eat a small, healthy snack, a piece of fruit, a small salad, maybe some beef jerky, nuts, whatever. I want you to eat that before you go to that special event or big event. What you're going to do when you do this is you're going to prevent yourself from being too hungry when you get to that event or to the restaurant. And it's going to allow you to not be so famished that you're going to be looking at anything and everything that looks delicious. You want it on your plate and you wanted it yesterday, right? Can I get a hangry in the house? That's right. Now, let me say this. Let me go a little Medea here. If you plan on eating a healthy snack before your dinner or the special event, and then you want to or do clean your plate, or a few other plates along the way, then we need to go back to school, the school of hard knocks, and we need to go through those prep steps again, okay? And you're like, oh, you gonna finish that? Okay, well, bring it on over here. After you've eaten that healthy snack I told you to do, yeah, we need to go back to the prep steps, okay? Another thing we see a lot of is eating in front of the television or maybe at the theater. And I'm going to be honest with you, this should be a huge no-no. But if you are going to indulge during this time, I always recommend serving up an appropriate portion size and sit down with that instead of a bag of chips or a quart of ice cream or a full bag of popcorn. This boob tube that you are watching is just what it is. It hypnotizes you into just getting so absorbed into what you're watching that you have no clue that you're just sitting there and overeating. The food retailers, they're not stupid people. They know you're sitting there decompressing with a few hours of screen time in your future. So what do? You guessed it. They've got commercial after commercial with steaming hot burgers and pizza and tons of other goodies to entice you. Being smarter than that food retailer is always going to be high on my recommendation list. It's just the right thing to do. You have to be stealthier, right? I'm always telling my patients, when you've had your portions, when I'll ask them, when have you had your size of your portion size of a bag of potato chips? And they'll kind of look at me like, I don't know. And I'm like, when the tips of your fingers reach the bottom of the bag, right? That's when they're finished. They just eat them and eat them and eat them. And before you know it, the bag is gone. Don't put yourself in that position. Is it hard to do? Yes. It's hard to scoop out 1 cup of popcorn or 25 healthy chips. But when you realize that you're able to treat yourself without overindulging, it really can help you to develop those positive habits that we're looking for, that you need for that long-term wellness and weight loss. Now, one thing that my husband and I will often do when we're cooking and prepping, or if we're just cooking a meal, like let's say on a Saturday or what have you, is that we usually will serve our plates from the island. Like I put everything out on the island once it's heated up and all that and cooked through. And we will actually fix our plates there, and then we'll go have a seat at the table. Why do we do this? We do this because we avoid putting those serving dishes on the table, because what happens? Ooh, I think I could have another like little bit of piece of that chicken. That was amazing. Or what about some more of that sweet potatoes? They were divine. Let me just get a little bit more of that. And then what happens? What happens is you get that. It's not going to hurt to get that second little scoop of pasta or maybe a little bit more of that rice and gravy on my plate. And this can be a huge difference over time, right? A calorie is a calorie is a calorie, and we're only given so many during the course of the day anyway. So anything you can do to avoid the temptation can work wonders for your weight loss journey, especially during this time. So, what about when you and a friend or spouse are heading to your favorite restaurant? You've been looking forward to this all day long. How do you kind of fix overindulging when you get into that situation? And I have to tell you, Brian, my husband, and I, we will frequently get, when we do this, what we'll do is we'll frequently get an appetizer, and then we will sometimes split an entree, and I will order a side salad. Now, I like eating my salad, so I will often eat my salad, and then what it does is it deters me from overdoing it with the main course, because the main course, I'll either put a few of the things from the main course on a side plate, and I'll let him take the main plate. And it just helps me to not overindulge during that meal when we're sitting there eating, and I can get my salad in with just a few pieces of that main entree. Another thing that you can do to avoid that overindulging is to ask for a to-go box with your meal. So tell your waitress or waiter, look, when you bring out my meal, would you mind bringing a to-go box to me? And then all you do is you get your meal, you cut that meal in half or figure out what your portion size is, and then you just put the other half or the remaining part in your to-go box, put it by your purse. Okay? Or put it on the empty seat or what have you. Let me tell you something. Seriously, if you go digging for that box before you get up from the table, I'm right now, you got bigger fish to fry, my friend, if you're digging into your box before you've left the table, right? So it just helps you to avoid the temptation, because when it's in front of you, the temptation is always going to be greater. The other thing I tell patients, and I need to get a little sip here. The other thing I tell patients all the time is avoid buying bulk, people. I know it seems very tempting because you feel like you're getting more for a smaller price. And honestly, if you really looked at it, you're not. But that's another story, and it's another probably podcast that I won't be doing, just so you know. But you get this humongous bag of popcorn or chips or whatever at the box store, and it's just looking for a diet to ruin. I mean, it is really waiting for somebody's diet just to ruin it, okay? There may be like 50 servings in that bag, and some of these items, they can have even more than that in them. I mean, 50 servings in one, right? And where are you at the end of the portion in a bag? When your fingers hit the bottom, right? So, buying in bulk, if it's necessary from a financial standpoint, I get it, but if that's the case, what I recommend is as soon as you get home, okay, start separating that bulk into like a Ziploc bag just to avoid overindulging, so that you have these little serving sizes, and you may have 50 little serving sizes. Oh, well, it is what it is. It will help to prevent, a lot of people worried about things spoiling or going bad before you have a chance to eat it. So it kind of helps to avoid that. But the other thing is, it stops us from that guilt thing. Well, gosh, I don't want this to go bad, so I'm just going to eat it. Well, you know what? If you come home with this big bulky thing of whatever it is, you have a few things that you sit out, you put it in the refrigerator, put the rest in the freezer, pack it away for a later time, right? Do you know what I buy in bulk? I buy apples, toilet paper, and paper towels in bulk. Everything else, just proceed with caution, okay? Because really, you don't need it in bulk. We talked about another thing several podcasts ago, and one of it is just making sure that you have done a purge-a-thon with your fridge and your pantry. It definitely pays dividends in especially avoiding overeating when you're preparing meals and snacks. Get rid of all the candies, the cakes, the chips. Donate them, dump them, do whatever you want with them. I don't care. Just don't consume them, okay? Try and make your house a portion-friendly zone. Make those portions out ahead of time. Don't buy things in bulk. Get rid of all the things that are going to be enticing to you. But what you do have as treats, make them small. If you have treats for the kids and you don't want to make them, have to worry about it, then you know what? Put it in a place that you're not even going to see it, right? Just remember where you put it. For a later date anyway, right? The other thing when you're looking at like making portion friendly zones, this also works well when you're looking at putting your portion size on a plate, trying to find smaller plates for dinner as well. This is a great way to ensure that you're not overeating. And if you actually go back and you look at some of those antique plates, I have some that were my grandmother's, they're amazing. But if you look at them, they're like maybe 8 to 10 inches. And then you look at some of the plates that we have out now, and they're 12 into the charger size, which is crazy, right? Well, what that's doing is it's enticing you, it's encouraging you to fill the plate. Because if you put your portion size on a 12 or 14 inch plate, it looks like you've gone to this fine dining restaurant and they've given you like, 3 scallops that are like this big. And that's like, bonjour, I think you should enjoy this. It's only 3 scallops, right? So it's like, and they charge you like $40 for it. But again, that's another topic for another day on another podcast. But get a smaller plate. It makes the food it makes it look like you're getting something that's adequate for you. And then you're more encouraged to not go back and to feel like you're feeling satiated, right? And we don't want anything that's going to make us feel like we need to overeat. There was a study that was done where people used a large bowl. They ate larger bowl. They ate 77% more pasta than those that were using a medium-sized bowl in another study. Some nutritional experts actually served themselves. This is what's really crazy. They're the experts, right? 31% more ice cream when they were given larger bowls and 14.5% more when provided with larger serving spoons. So the spoon counts too. Smaller spoon, smaller bowl, take your time. It makes a world of difference. Interestingly, though, most people who ate more due to the larger dishes, they had no clue that they had a change in their portion size. They just were eating what was in front of them. And so the fact that they had this bowl that was bigger really didn't make a difference to them. They weren't cognizant of it, So if you can't measure or weigh food and that doesn't seem like it's very appealing, use the plate. And what I always tell patients with plates is your veggies or your salad should take half of that plate. So think of it like a half moon. You want to get all of that should be your veggies. All of that should be your salads. Your high proteins, that needs to be 1/4. And then of course, your complex carbs, not your simple carbs, not your mashed potatoes, people. Okay. That takes up another 1/4 of the plate. Okay. And no, there's no bread plate on the side. Okay. So just get over that part. I'm in a mood today, huh? I know. That's right. I'm getting Almadia on you. Another way to gauge appropriate portion sizes, if you don't want to use like a measuring tool or you don't want to use the plate, is to use your hands. Not play with your food, but just to kind of give you an idea, a palm-sized serving for women, 2 palm-sized servings for men, for any high-protein foods like your fish, your meat, your poultry, that kind of thing. Vegetables and salads, fist size, women. You're going to do big fist size portions of salad. But remember, I want you to do the half a plate. So two fists aren't going to hurt you in the veggies or the salads. And then, of course, the high carb foods, it's going to be like a small cupping of your hand, okay? Small cupping, not cupping like that, okay? And that usually covers your carb foods and stuff. So, if some other things that I like to mention too here is that out of sight, out of mind is good. And I mentioned this briefly before, but if you do decide to have cookies and candy in the house, and maybe a few ding dongs along the way for the little ones, just make sure they are out of sight. Avoid that increased temptation if you can, to have that 1 bite, maybe that 2 bites. Oh shoot, let me have 3 while I'm at it. Another really kind of interesting thing that you can do is replace any kind of candy dishes you have in the house or on the counter with either fruit or nuts, especially during the holidays, because we always have a tendency to go back for just a few more, just a little bit more. One more can't hurt, right? What? Who ate all the M&Ms, says the only person in the room, right? That's right. I said it. Always, always, always read the labels, people. We've talked about this at nauseam at another podcast. This is so very important to avoid the portion pitfalls. Again, food producers, grocers are biggie sizing everything so that the more that you eat, then the more you're going to want to eat. Here's the other thing too, is that if you've been eating something, you're very routine about what you eat, you don't change things up very often, still look at the portion sizes. Believe it or not, food retailers know your pattern. They know the nature of your pattern, what you do. And sometimes they'll even start making bigger portions so that the calories are more that you're consuming. Why? Because then you'll go back and consume more, right? So we just have to be, stealthier than the food retailer, right? Of course. So what I would say here is if you need to weigh it, as ridiculous as it sounds, do it. Whatever you need to do to ensure that you're staying between the lines, just avoid, it just allows you to, it provides you the best level of success for your long-term wellness and weight loss. It really does. Now, starting all your meals with a glass of water can help you to fill up faster, and it does help you to avoid the need to overeat that main course, right? Another way to deter overindulgence is to slow down. Take your time. Eat slowly. Enjoy the meal, but if you can slow down enough, you will likely fill up before you are going beyond that recommended portion size. Sit back and just think about what you're eating. Why are you eating it? And even more, enjoy the flavors, the smell, the textures of the meal to process that meal that you're consuming. These things can all do wonders to slow you down and help you to minimize that portion size. Lastly, listen to your body. If you're getting whispers like, God, I feel like I'm getting a little full, and I'm not really desiring this food anymore as much as I did initially, then just don't keep eating it for the sake of finishing the meal. If you're done, you're done. Push back from the table and just walk away. It's okay. It is okay. For instance, let's say you are treating yourself to a piece of cake after weeks of great success and you're eating a sliver of cake, but there is a part of that slither that's left and it's kind of drawing you in like a moth to a flame, right? You know what I recommend when that happens? I literally have told people do this. Walk over to the salt shaker, the pepper shaker, for that matter, vinegar. I don't care what you use. Douse that other piece of cake with as much salt, pepper, vinegar, whatever you can put on it that you want, right? Anything that's going to make you take a taste and go, never mind, I'm good. Look, all is fair in love and dieting, right? And so any and all weapons can only help you in the hangry game arena. Am I right? Yes, I know I am. I know. I believe it or not, I feel like I just started. That wraps up today, believe it or not. So let's talk takeaways. We've talked about some definite suggestions that you can utilize. So let's talk takeaways. Think about some of the occasions where you may overindulge. Like, where do I notice that it's happening the most frequently? What's the common denominator that can be removed from the equation just so that you can ramp up your success even further? How many of these suggestions can you implement into your day-to-day dieting operations so that you can have a lasting impact? Use the prep steps, people. They work. I promise you they work. Just to work through portion control. Is my perception of portion control off? Like, am I perceiving things wrong? And maybe I'm like underestimating my food intake, which everybody does, by the way. And just kind of see where you are there. And am I rationalizing that second helping in my mind? well, I really didn't eat much for lunch, so I really think I deserve this second scoop of mashed potatoes. No, you don't. Okay. Just remember that. No, you don't. What expectations do I have when it comes to portion control? And of course, how can I prepare myself more to avoid the portion pitfalls? And that really should be enough homework for this week, I'm thinking. As always, I love spending time with you guys. Remember to take this one day at a time, find something to work on, improve upon that, and stick to it. And you, my friend, will reap exponential dividends. Make sure to check out prepforit.com. We are trying to put together some recommendations of things that we recommend to help you with your weight loss and wellness journey. And we're going to have almost like a little grocery store in there. Of course, I'm doing all that in my spare time, so stay tuned. Anyway, so that should wrap it up for today. I hope you have a great rest of the week. Have a good one. Until next time, may the odds always be in your favor. We're out. Have a great one. I'll talk to you soon.